Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is Wednesday, February 8th, and the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, or the live stream if you're watching live. Welcome in. If you're watching on replay, welcome in as well. Glad to have you here today. But did not end up making a video yesterday. I was out of town for a good chunk of the day, so was just a little bit behind in that regard. So not really going to look at the recap of picks from the day prior, since obviously didn't make a video yesterday. Going to be talking about the injuries in play for tonight's slate. It's a 9-game main slate overall. And then after that, getting into some core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. A little bit of news that's kind of out there in limbo at this point in time. Could be some values that do open up throughout the day. So do not take the core picks too highly at this point in time. I do expect a few of them to change as we do get some value opening up throughout the day. But once again, welcome in to everybody. If you have any questions at any point during the live stream, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you're watching on replay, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible as well. But without further ado, we're going to get started with the injuries in play for tonight's slate. There is 2 games starting right at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight for the Detroit Pistons. We just have Marvin Bagley out tonight. And then on the Cavaliers side, we have Dylan Windler listed as out. Darius Garland, I know, was downgraded to questionable earlier today. It looks like Donovan Mitchell is the same way. So I just want to pull up these 2 injuries. Mitchell is his groin once again. So we'll see if he plays, and then we'll see if Darius Garland plays as well. Obviously, if one or both of these guys were to miss, it would open up quite a bit of value on tonight's slate overall. And Darius Garland's right thumb. Both are kind of injuries they've had in the past, so I don't think it's anything new. Maybe it's a spot where they end up choosing to rest them tonight. In that case, Karis LeVert would look a lot better, obviously, as long as the 2 big men are starting. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, they would both look pretty good as well. You could get some Teddy Osman value there, maybe taking some shots on Ricky Rubio. Not sure what his minute ceiling is at this point in time tonight, so we might see a little bit more Raul Neto as well tonight. Then for the Hornets, we have Cody Martin and Kelly Oubre both out once again, so no real changes there. We saw Gordon Hayward's minutes tick up just a little bit. It looks like he's at a 30 minutes cap at this point in time, so looking like a decent little play on both sides. Hasn't played the best in recent games, but is a very reasonable price tag regardless. Then for the Wizards side, we got Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma, both listed as questionable. Bradley Beal did participate in shoot around the last time we did do the stream on Monday, so it looked like he was going to play. Did not end up playing in that game. Sounds like he went through practice yesterday. So I would say there's a pretty good chance that he ends up playing tonight. And then Kyle Kuzma, sounds like he was unable to practice yesterday, so I would assume that he's out once again tonight. So we'll either get Corey Kispert or Danny Advius starting alongside Bradley Beal, Monte Morris, Kristaps Porzingis, and Daniel Gafford, assuming Beal is able to play tonight. Otherwise, we'll probably just see the same lineup that we saw on Monday once again. For the 76ers, Joel Embiid is still listed as questionable with that foot injury, but do expect him to play. He's kind of been questionable for the last 5 games, but he's been playing regardless, so don't really have any changes there. For the Celtics, we have Danilo Gallinari out once again. Marcus Smart listed as doubtful, and then Robert Williams, Luke Cornett, and Jaylen Brown all listed as probable to play tonight. So pretty standard to what we've seen in recent games. Obviously, Luke Cornett and Jaylen Brown were out the last time, but just going back to 2 games ago, that's pretty much what we've seen out of them as of late. Moving down to the Pacers, we got Chris Duarte. He missed the last game, the game before, played 6 minutes, so not a major factor for DFS. Then on the Miami side, we have Nikola Jovic, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Duncan Robinson, Omar Yurtseven out once again. So Gabe Vincent probably going to get that start at point guard tonight. Maybe they switch it around. Maybe they don't start a traditional point guard, but would assume that he plays a good chunk of minutes tonight. Could be a decent value play on both sides if he's out there and he's playing well. Once again, Orlando Robinson is listed as probable to play as well. He was dealing with a broken thumb, so we'll see if he's the main backup to Bam Adebayo or if it's Dwayne Dedmon, but there might make too big a difference, especially since Bam Adebayo has been playing monster minutes, 36 minutes or more times than that. Then we move down to the Spurs, who still have quite a few injuries. Obviously, let me just double check this, because now this says they have Dwayne Dedmon for whatever reason on the Spurs. So did he just get moved? I need to double check that. But we have Romeo Langford, Devin Vassell both out. Jeremy Sohan listed as doubtful. Trey Jones listed as questionable. I kind of assume that he ends up missing once again. Keldon Johnson still listed as questionable, but he did play the last time out, so I would assume that he ends up playing once again today. So let's see the news. So Dedmon was traded to the Spurs, but has not yet joined the team. So that kind of answers the question. Looks like Orlando Robinson will be the backup center for Miami tonight. Not sure exactly why the Spurs traded for Dwayne Dedmon. Probably just like a salary dump or something. I have not seen the full details of that trade, obviously, because they don't really need any more centers there. We got Jakob Pertl, they got Zach Collins, they got Gorgie Jang, they have Isaiah Roby that can play some center. They got Charles Bassey, who's been in G League most of the year as well. So they really don't need more centers. So I just assume that it's some type of cap salary type of move for Miami overall. Then for the Raptors side, just OG Anunoby out once again. So pretty much what we see out of the Raptors as of late. The Kings are all the way out there at this point in time. Houston Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr. out once again. Garrison Matthews listed as questionable. Dealing with that toe injury, not a major factor for DFS, though. Then we move to the Timberwolves. They are on the back-to-back, so we'll see if their injury news changes throughout the day. But we have Karl Anthony Towns listed as out tonight. Austin Reeves is serving his part of his suspension. I believe he's the first game into it. He's served one so far, and I believe it's 3 games total for him. And then we have Kyle Anderson listed as questionable. We'll assume that he's listed as questionable. He missed last night's game with a back injury. We'll see how they end up starting that lineup once again. We did see Naz Reid get the start alongside Rudy Gobert last night, which was a little bit interesting. But they did not play the most competitive game last night, and a lot of guys played a lot of minimal minutes. So that was kind of a weird game overall. So we'll see how that shakes out for them tonight. Should be a little bit more competitive against Utah today. Then for the Jazz, Micah Potter out once again for quite some time, but he is on kind of that two-way contract where he's mainly been with the G League anyways. And then Jared Vanderbilt listed as questionable. He's missed the last game as well. So we'll see if he's back tonight or not. For the Dallas Mavericks, we got Davis Bertans, Luka Doncic, and Maxi Kleber all out once again. Frank Ntilikina technically is listed as questionable with that illness that he had on Monday, but he was able to play in that game, didn't play monster minutes or anything like that. I believe he played like 7. So not a factor for DFS. Markieff Morris and Kyrie Irving, both is probable to play tonight. Both were able to practice yesterday. So assume that both of them will be available for tonight's game. Obviously, Kyrie Irving should be in that starting lineup. Markieff Morris may or may not be in that rotation overall tonight. Then for the Clippers side, we just have John Wall out once again tonight. It's a pretty standard rotation for them. For Golden State, just Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala out once again. So pretty much what we've seen in recent games. For the Portland Trailblazers, we got Justice Winslow, Joseph Nurkic, Baji all out once again. Keon Johnson listed as questionable. He ended up missing the last game, but not a major factor either way. And then Drew Eubanks listed as probable with like a little bit of back soreness, but not too concerned about that overall for him. But obviously, if he were to miss, Trendon Watford would look a lot better. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Going to go through them real quick, kind of the ones that we're probably keeping our eye out on the most. Kyle Anderson will be a factor there for Minnesota. We'll see what their starting lineup would look like without him once again. Then we got some Trey Jones that will have a factor on the Spurs team overall. Kind of expect trades not to play and Keldon Johnson to play once again, as we've seen in recent games. Chris Duarte, we're not too worried about. And then we get up to Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, and that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell news. Those would be kind of the biggest ones. And then if for whatever reason Joel Embiid were to miss, then obviously we'd be interested in Montrezl Harrell a little bit more than we would be otherwise. But going to close out of the injuries for today, go over to DraftKings and talk about some core picks. So at least early on in the day, there's not too much crazy value. Obviously, as we get some of that news coming out throughout the day, that could definitely change. But at the point guard position, we have Jordan Poole. He is $7,100. Looking for 35, 36 points at him. Obviously, no Steph Curry out there once again tonight. He did have 12 assists the last game, which saw a little bit of an uptick for him overall, obviously. He's out there. He's playing good minutes. Portland Trailblazers matchup, just kind of a middle pack matchup, not anything that's like a super pace up, not the greatest defense in the world, not the worst defense in the world at the same time, too. But going to be a solid play altogether. Currently, I'm projected for about 36, 37 points tonight. Then at shooting guard, we have Tyler Hero. He's back to playing monster minutes. Once again, he's $7,500, which just is a little bit underpriced for him at this point in time. Looking for 37, 38 points. Currently, I'm projected for 39 tonight. Definitely has a little bit of upside for more as well. And a pretty good pace-up spot against the Pacers tonight, who are not one of the best defensive teams in the NBA as well. And then at small forward, we're going right back to Eric Gordon. He's kind of $5,400. You're looking for 27 points out. He's averaging 22 on the season. But since Kevin Porter Jr. has been out, been playing good minutes. He's been getting that assist rate up. He's been getting that usage rate up. Feel like I'm kind of on repeat talking about him, but his price tag just really doesn't move. Currently, I'm projected for like 28, 29 points tonight. He's been doing that pretty much on the regular since Kevin Porter Jr. has been out. Looking, it's against Sacramento as well. So there's a little bit of pace up spot there. They don't look like the greatest defensive team on paper, but that's just because they play at such a high pace as well, too. So I definitely do like him once again tonight. Then at power forward, This is the spot there I kind of got stuck. I don't mind Andrew Wiggins here as well, but ended up on Isaiah Stewart. They're going against Cleveland tonight. He's $5,100, looking for 25, 26 points. He's averaging 26 on the season. But that double big matchup should get this starting lineup with the Pistons starting Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Durant together. Don't mind playing Stewart tonight, especially against Cleveland, who are going to have two big guys out there more often than not. So should solidify his minutes overall. Currently, I'm predicted for 25, 26 points tonight. Looks like a decent play, but there are some other plays that could come out throughout the day that would kind of knock him off to the side as well. Then at center, went with Drew Eubanks at $4,200, looking for 21 points. Currently, I'm projected for 22. He's nothing special at this point in time, but a decent value spot at that center position going against Golden State. Maybe he gets a couple extra rebounds in that matchup, but nothing special at this point in time. But if you go with these five players that I do have at this point, but if you go with the five players that I do have listed here, you have $20,700 remaining. I believe $6,900 per player. So kind of looking like a balanced build, at least early on today. As I mentioned, with the injuries, with the news that we're going to get throughout the day, there's going to be some other value options that are probably going to open up throughout the day and look pretty good overall, saving us a little bit of money and helping us pay up for some of these other star players that are out there on tonight's slate overall. But with that being said, as we get that injury news, as we get the news of the other value coming out, I'll be having the injury updates posted down in the comments throughout the day. So definitely be sure you're checking back as we get closer to lock, as well as my updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock as well. But with that being said, I'm going to get out of DraftKings for now. We're going to move over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So at the point guard position on FanDuel, going with Terry Rozier tonight, he is $7,300, looking for 36, 37 points. He's averaging about 36 so far on the season. Been playing pretty decent as of late, obviously. Goes against the Wizards team. Should be a decent matchup for him overall. Currently, I'm predicted for 37 points. Looks like just a fine value overall on tonight's slate. At shooting guard, we have Tyler Hero. He's $7,300. Looking for 36, 37 points. Pretty much what we said with Terry Rozier there. Currently, I'm projected for 38 tonight. Has some upside for more as well. Obviously, going against the Pacers once again tonight. Pace up spot overall could help him out. And he's been playing better as of late once again. Then a small forward, seems like I've been playing a lot of Paul George lately, but for the most part, it's been paying off. He's at $8,400. Looks like a decent price tag overall. He's averaging about 41 on the season. We're looking for 42 out of him tonight. Currently, I'm projected for 43. Going against Dallas could be a little pace down spot, but just kind of depends on who's out there on the court for Dallas tonight. If you get some Kyrie Irving out there, some of these young guns running a little bit more than they would typically, where Luka's out there slowing it down, maybe just a little bit more, could be a better matchup than you would kind of expect, at least looking at it on paper. And then we were going to move down to power forward. I ended up on Dwight Powell at $4,900. Not my favorite play of the day, if I'm being completely honest. Not anybody that really stood out at power forward. Was looking for somebody a little bit cheaper just to save some money so we can pay up elsewhere as well. But as I mentioned, as some of these values do come out throughout the day, probably a pick that will change as well. But you got him starting. If he's playing big minutes once again, going to look pretty good overall going against the Clippers. He should be out there a decent amount against Zubac, but we'll see how much Christian Wood's able to play in this game. He was only able to play 18, 19 minutes last time out. If his minutes uptick is a little bit higher, then maybe that is the detriment to Dwight Powell overall. But we're looking for 24, 25 points. That's exactly what I am projected for tonight. And then last but not least, we're going to Drew Eubanks once again at that center position, kind of just that pay down spot overall, $4,600. So a little bit more than he is on the DraftKings side. Looking for 23 points. Currently I'm projected for 22, 23 points tonight. Just that solid pay down option. If we do get some other guys that open up throughout the day, Drew Eubanks, Dwight Powell, they're probably going to go away because we're going to be able to save and pay elsewhere. But at that point, at this point in time, that's just kind of what I have in terms of pay down options. It's not the greatest day overall. Obviously, if you look at the Patreon page, patreon.com/CoachCraigSports, where I do kind of my initial player pool, the guys that are projecting 5 times or more, not the greatest GPP pay down option day, but as I mentioned before, there's going to be some value that does open up throughout the day. At least I would like to hope so. But with the news that we kind of got out there, some of these guys getting downgraded already, there should be something out there opening up throughout the day. As I already mentioned, I'll be on top of all that news down in the comments, as well as my updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, February 8th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments. If you're watching on replay, if you're watching live, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll be around for a couple more minutes. And definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say in terms of questions. Also, very interested in hearing who your favorite play is on tonight's slate overall. Could be a very interesting slate with the 9 games. There's a lot of different ways the slate can break and kind of go overall. But as I mentioned already, just going to nail it down one more time. I'll have all those injury updates down in the comments throughout the day, as well as my updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I have for today's video. If you are brand new to my channel, not already subscribed, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it's really just NBA DFS because that's kind of the main sport going on. Might do a little bit of a live stream for the Super Bowl for single game showdown slate DFS as well, but haven't decided on that at this point in time. But would be something very interesting to mix around with. Going to do some NBA prize picks, probably going up on Twitter later today as well. On Monday, went 2-1. Unfortunately, De'Aaron Fox missed by 0.8 points because they took him out for the blowout run. If he had any other stat during the last 5 minutes of the game, definitely would have been a hit, but that's why we flex and still was able to profit on that day as well. And then lastly, I'm going to be doing some NFL draft content in the coming weeks as well. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Be sure to check out be sure to check out our interview that we are doing with Will Wallace, who is the tight end from Tulane University. He's an NFL draft prospect for the 2023 class. Very interested, very exciting to hear what he has to say, kind of talking about his football journey, his process of preparing for the NFL draft and everything else like that. That is going to be over on Twitter as the Twitter space. I can leave a little bit more in terms of link and description for that down in the comments as well, but definitely would appreciate anybody that is checking that out as well. But with that being said, that's really all I have for today's video, for today's live stream. Once again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then last but not least, special little shout out for everybody that did tune in for the live stream or watching on replay. Definitely appreciate you definitely appreciate you checking out the live stream or watching on replay. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.